in. But what we're going to do first is we're going to look at 5, 6 agenda items, paying our bills.
We've got residents allowing other residents in. I think we may be over fire code now.
Okay, so we're going to pause. We have a fire code that we have to adhere to. I'm going to let the deputy go in there. We can only have 19 people in this room sitting down. 16, sorry.
16 sitting and 23. Coverage to get you out of the ring, and you will be able to hear. So you can walk around the back and get underneath the awning.
Only 23 standing there.
Do we have the doors open out here, ma'am?
So they can also log on.
Back here?
No,
23.
Those that are already here are good. You can't have any more coming in the fire code.
Can they move it to the pavilion where more
No.
people can hear?
No, and I'll explain that in just a second. That's a great question. Okay, yes, and that's another thing. If you have your phone and you pull up YouTube, you can watch and hear the whole meeting. Live, real time.
What is the actual thing you use?
They need to search for Blockhouse Mud and do the live stream.
Yeah, and that would work.
Thank you, Deputy.
Okay, great. So, we cannot just move a meeting. Unfortunately, we have to abide by Texas Open Meetings Act. And we have to register where we have meetings. And so you have to do it within a certain amount of time, and so we couldn't. But yeah, and actually, it probably would have been worse under there with the weather right now. So, we did have a speaker ready for people that were gonna sit out there, but the weather didn't help us. But we do wanna hear from every single person tonight. And we will take our time and listen. You're gonna have 2 minutes. Citizens communication is 2 minutes. You can ask questions, but we cannot answer questions. It's not a back and forth. We will listen, we will take notes, but please understand, we cannot answer questions, okay? And you will be cut off at 2 minutes. We wanna do that so we can hear from everyone, and all your neighbors can hear from you. What I'm gonna ask, and this is the first time I'm gonna say this to everyone, we need everyone to be quiet and listen unless you're directed to speak, like during citizen communication. If you speak out of turn, it's disruptive, and your neighbors can't hear you, nor can the board. So I will call a warning. If you continue, the deputy will escort you out of the building. We don't want to do that. We're all adults. We will be fine, okay? But I just don't want anybody to be surprised. We can't have people talking in there, talking in here, even talking back here, because this OWL system will pick up every little piece. And there are people at home watching this, and this is recorded. So please, everyone, just be kind and just adhere to the rules, okay? All right, so here's the beginning of the meeting. Good evening, and on behalf of the board, thank you for being here tonight. We begin, before we begin, we'll quickly review a few housekeeping items, which I just did. No speaking during meeting unless recognized. You may only speak during citizen communication. You'll have 2 minutes. Questions will not be answered. No shouting at the board or other residents. And we must follow the fire code. And I'm sorry, but that's the rules, and the fire department can come and shut down the meeting immediately. And we do care about everybody's safety. I just told you we reordered the agenda, so we will take care of bills and invoices and proposals, and then a couple other agenda items, and then we will go to the trails, the grant item. How we'll do that is I will let Director Johnson and Director Stanfield speak. Then we'll open it up to citizens communication. We'll go through every single one, and then if there's a motion, we'll vote on it. If there's not a motion, it dies, and that's it. Okay? So let's go ahead and go to, what? We're gonna go to item number 8, and there are copies of the agenda over there. So this is finance and audit. Tyler, are you on the phone or online?
Yes, I'm here. 1 second, let me see if I can pull up my camera. There we go. All right, good afternoon, everybody.
Before every agenda item, we will take public comment. It'll be on that specific agenda item, okay?
One more there?
So what I'm gonna do right now is there any public comment on our bills and invoices? I don't have any here, so, okay, Tyler, go ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, so for bills and invoices, we have checks 10,043 through 10,085. That includes the 3 supplemental checks that we send in that additional packet. There were 5 fund transfers. We had transfers to the manager's account from the operating and the PNC accounts. We did close that PNC account. We're now using First Citizens for our water and wastewater payments. For investments, we have 3 CDs. The independent bank CD that we had matured last month. We renewed that at 4.56%. And for tax collections, we are at 98.4%, which is good.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. Do I have a motion to approve bills and invoices?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion from the directors? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? It's 5-0 vote. Okay, number 9 is positive pay services.
I think that can wait until the future agenda.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and hold number 9. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go to 11D.
Then that's you.
Good evening, everyone. My report is in the packet. I'll be very brief tonight. We really just have one write-off that I'll need approval for. The write-off is for $124.07. Just need board motion on that.
Do I have a motion to approve the write-off?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. That's a 5-0.
And then my second proposal would just be for acoustic leak detection. This is the company that did your meter swaps earlier this year and last year. They're gonna try to put this on the schedule for late July, early August. And I just need approval for this proposal for $5,980.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 5-0 vote on 11D. 13, proposal from Splash Tacular for inspection of Tumlison Pool. Do I have a motion to approve?
I have a question. What's the timeline for completing the inspection? Yeah, we see it done.
We actually need to complete it as soon as possible for TML report that we received in this last year.
So we keep our insurance on.
We can
Okay.
keep on.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's 5-0 vote. Okay, let's go up to 7A. I didn't do, okay, so 7A is the proposal for mosquito treatment. Do I have any citizens communication? I believe I do have one. Let's try. Monica?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, so do you mind just standing behind the podium? That way the owl can pick you up?
We need to have Clint on the line as well.
Okay, and Clint, can you come up on screen, please? Yeah.
Clint, you there?
Yes, I am. I'm trying to get my video on here. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Clint.
Hey, Monica, you handed these out, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so all the directors should have this flyer. Okay.
It's been emailed as well, if that's easier.
Thank you.
Okay,
Am I good?
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the cost. The price for this service last year was $10,040. What will the price be for this year?
They have a proposal for $12,000.
$12,000 to treat mosquitoes, okay?
We're not doing questions, are we?
No, we're not supposed to.
Okay, I guess I won't receive answers right now, but these are the questions that I have. I would like to know the name of the chemical being used. I would like to know, does it only kill mosquitoes or all insects? I'm concerned about our pollinators. Is it safe for aquatic life? We're concerned about our neighborhood's creek.
Yes.
Could the poison wash off and end up in the creek? How long after spraying is the poison affected? Residents have said that mosquitoes were present in large numbers at the fireworks show last year. What influences the effectiveness of the treatment? Can wind blow the chemicals around to unintended areas? Many residents' yards are near the treatment areas. Could the chemicals end up on their property? Early summers here are humid. Does high humidity decrease effectiveness? And are there mosquito control methods priority landscapes offer other than clogging? What method do you recommend for a neighborhood that cares about environmental safety and cost? That's what I have.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to, for?
Do you have any questions for Clint? Anybody on the board?
I'm sorry, did you fill out a form? Oh, did you? I'm sorry, what was your name?
Matt.
Okay, Matt, come on up and, yeah. Sorry about that.
What's your name, sir, so you can find your form?
Matt, last name Tanner.
Thank you.
I have a dual.
Oh, so it's on the same one? Okay, that's fine. You go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to second, what my neighbor said about mosquito fogging. Just the importance of pollinators. And, we know that the fogs don't just affect mosquitoes, they affect all pollinators. And, yeah, with the decrease in insect populations that we've seen over the past decades, we need to be really good stewards of the areas that we control. And, yeah, because if we don't have pollinators, we're gonna be in bad shape. It's gonna affect us too. So please look at different alternatives. Dunk tanks, dunk buckets, those are a lot more effective and they have much less, impact.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, Clint, you wanna start with Clint?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you wanna address, some of the concerns raised?
Well, the name of the chemical is bifenthrin, and it is an insecticide, and does have potential damage to pollinators. The method of application that they use is ultra low fogging, which they do at dusk and dawn and dusk application times, which are the least effective to pollinators. Doesn't mean that there's not potential damage to pollinators. It's just weigh the pros and the cons of mosquitoes and for pollinators. The control time frame is not very long. It doesn't last very long. This is more of just a concentrated application for just a very big event, the 4th of July. So,
Okay. Let's go around the room and see if the directors have any questions. Director Shoemaker.
Just one question, Clint. So, mosquito dunks, can you talk a bit about that? I'm a little bit, talk a bit about why y'all don't do that. It sounds like that might be a little bit area, not as much of an area-wide focus, but can you talk about that for a minute?
my only experience with those are doing those in just smaller areas, more like a residential area, or if you had an area where you had some water or standing water that you wanted to control. The area that the proposal covers is over 1 million square feet. It's all of Tumlinson and Tonkawa. So how effective dunks would be in that area, I do not know. Again, our goal was just to provide a proposal because this is what we were asked to do in years past for mosquito treatments. We're not advocating for or against the application.
Okay, Director Stanfield.
Would it be possible to use the dunk tank things or the buckets, or would that not work?
I would have to get information from the company that we use to do this application. We don't do the application ourselves internally.
Okay, we'll go around, Director Johnson.
Yeah, I'm wondering, so what is the time frame we would need? I'm wondering if we can do some of this research before the June meeting and still have it in place before the 4th of July. So I think a number of these are worthy of consideration, but we also have to have it in place. There's not a lot of time between the June meeting and the 4th of July.
I think you'd have time. The application is not done until like a day or two before the 4th of July. So you do have time to look at some alternatives if you would like.
Okay,
Still get that scheduled and done.
Thank you, Director Young.
So a couple points. The first one, dunks are designed to stop the entire cycle of mosquitoes. It's not like you spray or you dunk and then they're gone the next day. It takes weeks for these to be effective. Basically, they go in water. When the mosquitoes lay their eggs in the water, it poisons just the mosquito larvae, right? The other things aren't breeding in there. So that would take a while to do. I don't know how big it can get, but it's not something that we can just blast really quick. Next day, we're mosquito free. My other question is, we've got a map. We've essentially got 3 parks: Tumlinson, Comanche, and Tonkawa. Tonkawa is where it is. I've watched from Tonkawa before, I've watched from Comanche Park before. I've never watched from Tumlinson, but Tumlinson may have a few people, but there's significantly more in Comanche, and there's no coverage for Comanche. Yet there is coverage for Tumlinson, so if we do this, let's include Comanche, but not Tumlinson, or do both, but it doesn't make sense to me to do Tumlinson, but not Comanche.
Okay. All right, you guys actually asked my questions, which is if we would have time to do a little more research and talk to Priority Landscapes and then vote on this in June. So, do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion to amend the original motion to bring this back to the board in June after working with Clint to see what other options are, particularly with
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? I'll go around one more time. Director Young? Bless you. Director Johnson? Director Stanfield? Director Schmidt?
Back next month.
Okay, we'll go ahead and put that on hold then. Monica, I lost you, but that's where we're at on that.
I'm wondering, could we consider a repellent in the form of peppermint oil to be sprayed everywhere? Maybe we can get some advice from the garden people to do that, but I know neem oil is good for that. We can get some lemongrass oil, we can spray it everywhere, and maybe they'll just self-evict.
Okay, we'll look at the options as between now and June. Okay. All right, let's go ahead.
Thank you, Clint.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move to item number 30, which is the agreement with Leander ISD School District for use of Apache Pool for their swim team. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
I have a second.
Second.
Okay, the red line should be in your packet. The amenity subcommittee met with the new athletic director. We did redline the contract quite a bit. Nothing really significant. They had a couple of requests and we denied them. So, I'm gonna go around the room one time for questions or discussion. Director
No
Schmidt,
comments.
Director Stanfield, Director Johnson.
I read through the red lines, I think they benefit the neighborhood, so.
Okay, Director Young.
No comments.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed, anyone abstained, that's a 5-0. Okay, so now, let's get to, I know there's somebody here for the bees. You guys, can we touch on the bees real quick and then go into trails, or do we wanna?
I'll be really quick.
You'll be, okay, then let's go ahead and go to item 16, thank you. Brett, and I have this form right here somewhere. Yeah.
Thank you, y'all. Highlighted, two different sheets here. I'm just gonna go through it real quick. First of all, my name is Brett. Lived in the neighborhood for about 10 years. Been beekeeping for about 10 years. Just wanna get some bees going at the community garden. Why bees? Obviously pollination. Everybody knows that. Kind of the reason I wanna do it, kind of more of community outreach, just a lot of opportunities with beekeeping to bring people together. Just last week, got a call from a couple of neighbors quarreling over some bees in a tree. Spent 30 minutes time with them. These neighbors seemed like they really hated each other. I turned around, they're having a very cordial conversation. I actually got a text from one of the ladies saying, I've been really looking to, reach out to the neighbors and get some neighborly stuff going on. And she said, and I quote, I think the bees might be the missing link. So, some information there. Basically, what we had there is the Texas Beekeeping Association's best practices. It's a general guidelines, it's not the law. Law-wise, there's not a lot of regulation on the bees. Cedar Park, city ordinances, 0. So I could put 500 hives right next to your house. It's obviously not what we're looking to do. Leander, can't have a beehive within 500 feet of a residence without written approval of said residence. Pretty lax. I passed out Austin's, got a little bit more detail, a little bit more common sense in there. Basically what we're looking to do is place 2 to maximum 8 hives during the busy season, bring those down. Safety, I know that there's always going to be safety concern with bees, they have a stigma. What we do is we put up a flyaway barrier in front of the hives, behind the hives, beside the hives. The bees will fly up, go their 3 miles, come back, have to fly down and get in the hive. They won't be flying around, at the eye level. Things that we would like to do in the gardens include the community, include the public, maybe offer some bee classes, some bee experiences. Obviously, we sign waivers. I'm basically here, if you have any questions, I will answer them. I don't want to, take over the meeting, so if y'all have any questions, hit me.
Okay, we're gonna go around the room real quick. Director Shoemaker, do you have any questions?
No, I'd like some time to digest the documents.
Okay.
There's some, the city code and the apiary stuff, so I'd like some time to look through this, so.
Okay, Director Stanfield.
So reading this, does this cover us? Like, I mean, is there anything we need to consider as a mud to helping bees, or?
Yeah, I'm waiting, I've made some calls to the district
Okay,
insurer.
then I'll wait until-
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I
Okay.
would suggest waiting to be kind of answer.
Okay, Director Johnson.
I agree with Director Shoemaker. I appreciate this information. I'll just need a little time to digest it.
Director Young.
One of the things I like about controlled beekeeping, in the community garden is Africanized bees. When that happens, they start attacking everywhere and we don't know where they're coming from. Thing is, if they get Africanized in beekeepers, they're gonna know it, they're gonna be able to retire that community real quick. So it will keep the Africanized bees out, not necessarily immediately, but we will have way better control of it.
Okay, thank you. So it sounds like we just need to do a little bit more research. You've given us tons of information. Thank you very much. I think the amenities subcommittee will probably work with the bee, subcommittee, and we'll bring this back in June for a decision.
Cool,
How's
yeah.
that? Is there a better time of the year than other to?
So the spring is the time when we're to acquire bees. You have to procure them in the winter, for the spring season. But, anytime's a good time to, have a hive donated, get some education going before we have, because I don't wanna be solely responsible. I want everybody to be responsible for taking care of them. And,
Okay,
it's gonna take a little while to set up, but it's something we could get rolling now.
okay,
Maybe one hive, I could donate, something like that, until we get going in the spring.
okay, yeah. This is great information. Maybe we'll just come up with a timeline and a plan to present this.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Brett. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and go into the trails, the grant, agenda item. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna repeat, because I know some people are just walked in or just joined us, and you probably didn't hear the beginning of the meeting. What we're gonna do is, I'm gonna let Director Johnson and Director Stanfield speak. And then we're gonna go through all the, citizens' communication. Everyone will have 2 minutes. If anybody out there didn't get a chance to fill one of these out, but would like to approach and talk to the board, please do so. We will make time. I don't care if you're here till midnight. We will listen to every single person. We do wanna hear from you. After that, I'm gonna go around the room before we even have a motion and let each director have 2 minutes, if that's all right. And then we'll see if there's a motion to even proceed. Okay, so, let's see, I'm just gonna go. Okay, hold on to that. Where did, the very first one, we wanted, okay, this one? Is it Ken? Ken? Is that Ken?
Smith call?
Yeah. Oh,
No, we have another one.
oh, I'm sorry, Ken, just 1 second. I was trying to, this gentleman sitting in the corner right here. I'm sorry, what was your name?
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah, Ray Mulvaney.
Mulvaney. I'm sorry, Ken, do you mind letting Ray go first, just,
Be my guest.
yeah, thank you. And you don't have to approach the board. I know you've got your walker. If you just wanna stand there and talk, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, sit, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind a few bees wandering around the property, but I don't like the idea of, all kinds of people wandering through your backyard, Yeah. So, and I'm sure anybody else that lives on a creek like I live on a creek, feels the same way. I know the neighbors, talking to them, they feel the same way. Yeah. And why would we wanna have that done? People walking through the yard? What purpose does that serve? Does it do any good? I mean, it doesn't help us as individuals, and that's one of the reasons I'm there, because of the creek, and that's why I bought the house, so. And I'm also one that has a dam across the and the water comes up, you know, stays and then spills over, makes a noise, and sort of neat, the original owner put that in, you know? But, yeah, I don't like the idea of strangers wandering around on a property, you know?
Okay.
Simple.
Thank you very much. And I just want to remind everyone we cannot answer questions during citizens' communication. And please, I mean, I know you want to clap and support your neighbors, whether you agree or disagree, whatever, but please kind of keep that to a minimum. Okay, great. Okay, next is Wendy Ullman.
No, wait, Ken was actually, he was saying-
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead, I just need this.
Oh, Wendy Pullman, if you're out here, or someone, if she's not in here,
You're on deck.
thank you.
Kent is first.
Yeah.
Yes, and then you, thank you.
First, let me apologize, I'm not a public speaker, but I'll do my best here. I'm a 25-year resident of Blockhouse Creek. I speak from a unique position because I've been through this before. One of the proposed accesses to the trail is next to my property. At one point in time, it was open to the public. So I had foot traffic, I had people letting their dogs use it as a restroom. We've had people dump mattresses back there, trash bags. I contacted Blockhouse Creek and I was able to convince them to put a fence in back there, which helped. They also felt the need to put in a no dumping sign because the trash was so bad back there. So I have a little bit of experience with public people on my property. It's no fun. On the surface, the trails sound like a great idea. We could all go out and get some exercise and use until you consider the following. Safety. You would create public access to 3 sides of my property. The front of my house, the side of my house, and the back of my house. I don't think that's acceptable for anybody's property. Not yours, not mine, anybody. Secondly, the noise. My house was built with single pane windows. I hear too much as it is. We have people coming in between the houses, talking, laughing, calling dogs, dogs barking at each other as they're passing. The invasion of my privacy and my family's privacy on the side of my home that you're proposing access to. The disrespect that happened to my property. People cutting across my yard using it as a shortcut, riding bicycles, letting their dogs do their business in my front yard.
Okay, Ken, I'm
throwing
sorry,
trash.
you're over the 10 minutes, but thank you very much.
Not to mention the property value.
Thank you. Okay, I have Wendy.
Hi, I'm Wendy Coleman, and I have lived here 32 years, and I'm here today to be heard and hopefully represented by you all, and I want to echo everything that this fine gentleman said and what Kent said. And this thing doesn't make sense to me. I know you can't answer questions, but I'm curious who proposed it and why. It's really not a necessity. I walk my German Shepherd around the loop and in the woods. I have for years, like over 10 years. And to be honest with you, the trails that already exist, a lot of people don't even use them. There's very few people on them, so to even put another one open to the public is ridiculous, in my opinion. I don't want the extra taxes, the upkeep, the safety concern. There's already been transients in our parks. I've seen them, I've taken pictures, I've let them off, they've got tents. They build fires when there's 110-degree weather down there. Behind the Apache Pool, there was one guy down there for quite a while. And so it feels very unsafe, even for somebody without a German Shepherd or a little dog to walk back there, or just a female. There's no reason this is a private community. It's our private parks and wildlife. It will affect wildlife, it will affect the waters, I'm sure. There's just so many reasons I don't want it, and I know everybody else doesn't. But yeah, safety, why are we inviting the public that doesn't pay taxes here or live here into our neighborhood to enjoy our wooded areas? It just makes no sense. I hope y'all will represent us on this. I trust y'all to do that. It's very important to me and everybody else. I've lived here 32 years, never came to a meeting, which I'm ashamed to say, but this is a big deal. This is a huge deal to us. I don't know whose idea it was, but none of us like it. I don't like it, and I really hope that y'all hear us and you take it to heart. And I don't know
Okay.
why this was even proposed.
Okay,
So,
thank you, Wendy. Thank you very much.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Said.
Thank you, sir.
And then Jamie DeWitt is on deck.
Hi, everyone. I don't have particularly strong feelings for or against the trails. I love how rustic they are right now. I'd love to see them stay that way. But I want to share something to kind of inform some of y'all. I went to UT Law School. I'm a 5-year resident here at Blockhouse Creek. And I think one thing we're not considering here as a community is the impact of eminent domain. TxDOT has the right to come take the property from us, pay us money for the property, and then do whatever they want to it. And I would much rather that our community work collaboratively with TxDOT and be in control of some of what happens to these trails so that we can actually say, hey, we actually want them to be this small. Hey, we don't want it running right next to somebody else's fence. We want them to be along the creek, but not close to other people's property. We have a lot more control in the situation if we're working with TxDOT instead of creating this wall and this kind of animosity with them where they have the right to come and take our property. I also want to add that, you look at places close by like Brushy Creek Trail, those trails go right behind people's property too. There are, of course, some limited safety incidents there, but it is a very safe place to walk. And actually, it's safer because there are more people walking on it. You have a wider window of time when it's safe to be walking on the Brushy Creek Trail, then I would feel safe walking on our local trails because it's actually populated a bit more. So those are my comments on these matters, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sedge. Jamie. And then next up is Miss Heath.
Is he? Is next up? Is he?
Yes. Cat.
All right, thank you for the board for the work that you're doing with this. Obviously, there's a lot of online discussions that were going on lovely Facebook and all that good stuff. Encouraging people to read the master plan, look at the videos, look at the website, look at the newsletter. First thing that I found, it specifically says on there, quote, "The district is not obligated to acquire, purchase, or construct improvements as defined in the report." Just because it's there, we don't have to go forward with it, or we can amend it to make it something that's more agreeable. But the main thing we need to do as a community is protect this green space. Plenty of spaces in Austin, if you want concrete around, if you want to rip up the green, plenty of spaces. I would like to talk a minute about last month's meeting. This was first mentioned on April 23rd at the 1 hour, 8 minute mark. You can listen to it if you want. They had that meeting at 4:23. It wasn't mentioned, and I could be wrong. It wasn't mentioned until maybe on Facebook or the website until May the 16th. I'm not sure about the delay. When it was done, there was 2 different times posted as well. I'd also like to talk about if we're going to refer to the website, there are several issues with the website. I'm not going to go into those, but I found at least 20. If somebody wants to email me, I'll point them out what they are. One of them is the playscape is going to be starting construction on the end of March, should be done end of June and early July. Also, in case you didn't know, Tumlinson Park no longer has disc golf. That has been moved for several years, but according to Exhibit B, under the Parks and Greenbelt rules, it still exists here. Also, let's not get the Department of Transportation involved. If we go that route, we might as well incorporate it to another city.
Yeah.
We pay less in taxes, it would just be much easier.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Ms.
Thank you,
Kat?
Jamie. Thank you, ma'am. And who's next, first one?
Andy Moorfield.
Andy Moorfield, you're up next, please.
Hi, my name is Tekla Heap. Most people call me Kat, it's easier. I'm not a public speaker either, but I do feel very passionate about this, as I don't see a need for the project as it's proposed. I would like to see studies done to see how often trails are actually used as far as they are right now. I think that would be a very fair thing, is to see the need for these trails. Do we need them? How much are they gonna be used? Who's going to be using them? The other thing I would like to say is I heard somebody mention that, it shouldn't affect safety based on some studies, but when I heard that, my heart started pounding through my ears. I am a victim of home invasion that didn't end well. And I don't care if they say, oh, there's only been a few little incidences, because it matters to the people it happens to. I don't wanna be another statistic. And I bought here in this neighborhood because it was private, because it was a place that I felt safe. And I didn't have to worry about lots of people coming in and out and going, and I could know my neighbors, and I could hang out with my neighbors, and I could have dinner with them. And I don't wanna live somewhere where I've got strangers walking around my house again. So that's really all I have to say about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sure, absolutely. It was about to blow over. Thank you, Ed. All right, Andy.
Hi, everyone.
And I'm sorry, on deck is Jack, Debbie? Jack?
Dobler.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Embarrassed to say this is also my first meeting. We back up to the creek. I've got 2 kids. I kind of second what she said about it only takes one. My understanding is the mud is in debt. We're gonna take on a bunch of, what is it, $300,000 or something like that? There's already 600 even better.
Oh, hold on, he's speaking, please.
Thank you.
I just don't see a point for it. We're cutting down enough trees everywhere. There's 100 acres that's gonna be a furniture market across the street. What's the point? I do back up to the creek. It does concern me that there's going to be public access. If it was private access, I'd feel a little bit better about it, but we're gonna put it on a website and say, hey guys, come over here and walk behind my house, or walk behind my neighbor's house, or walk behind her house. I just don't agree with it. It doesn't make any sense. I second the lady's sentiments before. Please follow the will of the people on this. Appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you. Jack. And then next is Byron.
Good afternoon. You wanna go? You can go before me? No, I'm gonna headline somebody else. Thank you.
So, I had a lot of brilliant things to talk about, but apparently everybody before me has covered them as well, so I'll be short. I would implore the board to not vote in favor of this trails. Apparently all of the citizens that have shown up here are vehemently opposed to it, as am I. So I would ask you, please vote against this. It's a bad idea. It's gonna bring the public into our community, and that's not what we all pay our taxes for. And lastly, I'd like to point out that the Texas flag is being flown improperly according to the Texas government code. When the masts are side by side like this, the Texas flag should be flown at the equal height of the US flag. Thank you very much.
Okay, Byron.
I'm gonna give my 2 minutes to Terry Hutton.
Okay, I don't think we can
We
do
can't
that.
see time,
We
like,
can't do
you can
that.
speak, she can have 2 minutes, you can have 2 minutes, but we can't give her 4 minutes.
Terry, you're being warned not to speak out of turn.
No, we're gonna give you time, we just can't have people giving time to each other, when everybody have 2 minutes to speak.
These sidewalks, the residents don't want it. I don't know of any of them that do. The residents don't wanna pay the taxes on it. The residents don't want the public to have access to our building. There's no reason to have it. So when you vote it, it's gonna have to be answered for. And it makes everybody very nervous as to why y'all are doing it, and nobody wants it.
Okay, thank you. Joe, I'm sorry, Doug. Joe Gunterman. And then Nancy Perkins, you're on deck.
Thank you. I'll be as brief as I can, because I know everybody's touched a lot of this stuff, but I'm gonna go to my last point first. What does this benefit to the blockhouse residents? More cost, more traffic, more non-resident activity. First of all, cost. Beyond the initial cost, the maintenance cost of keeping those trails groomed. Okay, are you gonna put garbage cans out? Are you gonna have to hire people to empty those garbage cans? We already have litter in the creek, and it has to be picked up all the time. It's only gonna increase, okay? So we have long-term maintenance costs, that whole thing, enforcement. Okay, we already have issues with trying to keep non-residents out and not participating in the parks, okay? We're going to increase that significantly. It puts a huge burden on the sheriff's department because it's also traffic. We have traffic issues where we're already seeing people cutting from 183 to 183A to go over to the crossover. I live on Spotted Eagle, the traffic has increased massively and the speeds have increased massively.
Yes.
Okay, and again, I see it all the time. Parking, Jumano Park, if you come down Black Kettle to Jumano, that is a traffic issue. First of all, you're gonna have more parking at Jumano, and two, as people come across that bridge, the speeds they're traveling at are significantly higher than the speed limit. So as you pull out in front of Jumano, it's a problem. We're going to increase that over and over again with this public access. We also have the furniture store and a hotel. We're going to have all those non-resident people eventually forming or coming into our parks and so forth, which again, makes it more difficult for the sheriff's department. I would rather take that money and give it to them for more patrols, more traffic,
Thank you.
and everything else.
Thank you very much. Nancy. Nancy, and then, I'm sorry, Nancy, just 1 second. Julian Sitters. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, something that I haven't heard mentioned yet, that I'm an avid hiker and I like to take my family out, etc. But right here within 4 miles of us, less than a tank of gas in cost, doesn't increase my taxes, nothing, is Lakewood Park and also Twin Lakes down here at the YMCA. They already have trails that are accessible, handicap accessible, parking, that's all of that. A covered pavilion, both places, all of that. Lakewood has water features. They're already set up with this. They've already got security, they've already got all these things that don't cost me a dime except for my gas to get there. I can take my family, I can take a wagon, they can take scooters, rollerblades, all of that stuff. So it really seems redundant to me. Why would I pay this high price tag for something that's already available? Maybe y'all don't wanna go hike, but you're paying for my hiking if it's here. If I choose to pay to go hike, that's my choice. But to force something on me that costs money when people are working to feed their families, send kids to school, etc., that's not representing our community. That's not taking care of us. And I beseech you to vote no.
Thank you. Julian. And then next is Susan Fairbanks.
I gave my speech last week in opposition to this proposal for all the reasons that were previously stated. For those that did not attend last week or are not in the know, the proposal was for a $2.8 million trail. It's a federally funded grant that's bypassed through TxDOT. We're not paying TxDOT, we're paying the gentleman who was presenting the trail to us last week. We cover 20% of the cost, that amounts to about $600,000 for a non-essential action that we don't. It would also restrict us from placing restrictions on who can access the trail, effectively making them open to the public. So, like everyone else here, I'm vehemently opposed to this idea.
here at Blockhouse Creek, I kind of view it as like multi-use. We have really wide bike lanes and people love to bike. We have great sidewalks, it's a very walkable community, people walk their dogs and strollers. We have pools for kids, pools with lap lanes. We have pickleball courts, we have basketball courts, and we have sort of these wilderness trail areas. There's no need to pave them, there's no need to expand them, and there's certainly no need to open them to the public. I back up to the creek, I love the creek, that's why I bought the home, like Ray here. I go out there periodically, you know, occasionally I'll see kids, I'll see families walking by, residents do use the trails. But I will say, they're trash. There's a lot of trash. I can fill up an IKEA bag in about 30 minutes of trash, and that's in large part because it's, you know, stormwater drainage. And I was disappointed when we moved in last September to see that the board signed an easement with the furniture mart to allow stormwater drainage from that complex of both into our creeks, increasing the amount of trash. So I would say that, you know, for everyone who loves the creeks, as I certainly think y'all do, we need to consider alternatives, community-wide cleanups, and potentially trail maintenance of just, you know, trimming the hedges along it or cutting a down tree that's blocking the trail, but there's no need for speed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan. Oh, I'm sorry. Melissa Alexander is next on deck.
Well, hello, everybody. I echo yes and amen to everything that's been said. So far this evening, a couple of points that I have, something that I thought about after the last meeting was when we came to a meeting in, and I'm sorry, March or April, where you guys were discussing the trail. One of the things you were saying is TxDOT, we've got a much better chance of getting this grant if we have connectivity to the community, because TxDOT really likes connectivity to the community. You talked about connecting to the Brushy Creek Trail on 183A and other places. And then last week on the 22nd, when we asked the question, it was like, no, there's gonna be no connectivity. And forgive me, but it sounds like ultimately that may be the plan. And so I just want to say that if that is the case, I mean, it's even a worse idea than I initially thought. Our home will be very impacted. As a matter of fact, I can't imagine anyone would want to buy our house because the trail is proposed to go right along the side, right next to the park, and right next to my fence. And then there will be a bridge built, and then there will be a trail going on the other side of the creek behind our house, and there will be a trail coming from the street above us behind the woods down to that trail. So we are going to have traffic continually in our house. I'll tell you one thing, somebody reminded me when we were talking about this just really quickly, kids coming through, and they weren't kids that lived there because we asked them later, but they were just at the park. They were running through, one kid, and my dogs are barking, so I go out and look. I'm standing on my deck. These kids don't see me. One kid's going, hang on, and they're all running, and he stops and drops his pants and craps on the other side of the creek, right in front of my house.
Okay, thank you.
So,
No,
they
your
come
time's
back.
up. Your time's up. Thank you, though. I think we got the gist of that. Unfortunately. Melissa Alexander. And the next up is Ed Ladd.
I may be repetitive, but I'm just gonna read what our roads, that makes it easier to get through quickly. As an over 30-year resident of Blockhouse Creek, I'd like to thank the board members for the number of hours that are spent working on behalf of our beautiful community. I have heard passionate and pretty darn respectful discourse on the subject, and I would like to respectfully share my thoughts. I'm not in favor of making an application or ever building these trails. And given the comments and petitions I've seen, the majority of our neighbors feel the same way. If this application for public funds is a success, we stand to spend upwards of $500,000 in order to put in a trail system that carries with it an obligation to an entity outside our neighborhood and an invitation to the public to use these trails. Wouldn't it be more prudent to spend some of that money, much less, on the maintenance and cleanup of existing trails and get the playscape finished at Tomlinson Ford Park? Shouldn't we leave our mud board in charge of the responsibilities that we needed to them with our votes. We trust you. A lot of people don't come to these meetings because they trust what's going on. We put y'all into office, we trust what you're doing. This just happens to be a subject we don't agree on. How much of the 9,000 that was spent on the study was spent to figure out how many people are currently using the trails that exist? Do we even know? If we don't know, then why are we planning to build more of something the neighborhood might not want? Okay? We've got a cement place where people can walk in this neighborhood. It's the loop. And many, many, many people use it. If we want more cement, well then perhaps we should take back control of our roads and not have that horrible asphalt on there that the county is putting on there now.
Yeah, right?
As a realtor, this neighborhood is coveted. I want it to stay that way because of the beautiful green belts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We have Ed Ladd and then Nikita. Scott?
Thank you for the time to talk. My name's Ed Ladd. I live on English River. I do back up to the creek as well. Seen it flood many times, more than 100 yards wide. So you'll see those, eventually you'll see those pathways getting washed out during a big rain, although it hasn't been much lately. I'm gonna take you back a few years to 2020. I sat on the park bond committee along with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Shoemaker. I think all three were here and a number of other people in the neighborhood. It's key to our effort. We were, and I think there is some piece of us that are still proponents of trails, but not taking money to the government that requires it to go public. If you read the recommendation, it says for the residents, enabling residents to use trails to get to any neighborhood facility, not retail space, not connectivity to outside areas, for residents, not public. If you read Mr. The Gray's sentence as well, that was in the first park plan. Blockhouse Municipal Flood District Park Plan number 1, adopted July 22. Number 3, trail improvements, linking parks via trail enhancements, upgrade, add trails throughout the neighborhood to connect parks where possible, enabling residents to use the trails to get into the neighborhood facilities, not public. I go back to your submission to the preliminary scope of work, which says the trails will be strategically linked existing parks. Also, green spaces, schools, planned retail centers. Are there planned retail centers within the neighborhood?
Continue.
I'm just saying, that's a key question. And then, I'm not used to you guys not answering, so that's me, because I have been here before. So, but, I mean, if you look at what's going on and what's happened here, I think the majority of the neighbors like the trails that exist today. They like the crushed, decomposed granite that we have. The concrete requires additional resources, and also requires the 32-foot space. So
Thanks, Ed. Okay.
Thank you.
Is it Nikita?
Hi, I'm Nikita. I have lived here 9 years. Originally I'm from Houston, but when I went to college in Central Texas, I loved the beauty of the area instead of the concrete jungle that is where I'm from. And what I love about this neighborhood specifically is the greenery and the fact that it felt so like its own hidden space, especially before they started knocking down all the trees, where they're gonna put the furniture mart. And you know, as hard as it was to see that, I'm like, okay, at least we still have our little piece in the middle of the neighborhood. And then I heard about this actually yesterday, because I'm a busy mom, I work full time, and I was like, yeah, I need to come to this meeting because the forest means a lot to my family. We live right by it. We use it a lot. We have even filmed family movies back there, and have special memories with my late son back there. And I hate to see it more concrete, and as they're building it, like even the thought of them, at the time it's gonna take for them to build it, and the construction, and cutting down the trees already, and messing with the deer and all of the ecosystem that's back there. They have had a hard enough time with all the construction that's going around them as it is. You know, remember when we had the coyote issues? You know, more issues like that are gonna start coming up. And then these poor deer, where are they gonna go? And that's gonna affect us. I know we don't see it, but it does. It affects us in the water, the issues with the water, that will affect us as well. So,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. McLemore?
Macklemore? Macklemore?
Macklemore out here?
There you go.
I'll be outside.
We'll hold that one till the end and ask again. Or is she coming? Yeah, please, thank you.
Yes. I'm pretty sure that's how you said last name. Okay, we'll hold it to the end. Okay, Jack Rose. Oh, okay. Jack Rose, you're on deck.
Then we'll do Ms. McLemore.
Here comes Macklemore.
Okay.
I am so sorry, I was about to leave, I have to pick up my son. I appreciate y'all letting us do this. My concern is about a month ago, we had a couple kids running around through the streets basically terrorizing our neighbors. That was out in the public. I'm concerned if we open that behind the trees, especially with that path, it's only gonna get worse. I back the creek, I've been here for 17 years. I'm also concerned about my liability as a homeowner that backs the creek. I know we don't own on the other side of the creek, but what I do own, I'm worried that it's gonna get damaged or somebody's gonna get injured on my property and then I'm gonna be held liable. I already have people come in, they leave trash, especially somebody's mentioned this previously when the rain comes, I have to pick up trash all the time. I'm just worried that's gonna become even worse. And then with the element of malfeasance in the back, when it's covered with trees, it's only gonna get worse as well. I love the idea of bringing people to this community, but I also like that this is our community. We paid for this is ours, and I wanna keep it ours. That's kind of the lure here. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Jack, and then Cecilia's on deck.
Thank you very much. I don't have too much new to add. I echo the same sentiments that we've been hearing. As a Blockhouse Creek resident and house owner, I strongly oppose the proposed Texas Dot Park grant and implore you to vote no on the proposed park grant and plan. We value our private park system and believe that it should remain exclusive to Blockhouse Creek residents and their guests as it was originally intended. And these are not my words, I'm quoting someone else, but it truly is my sentiment and the sentiment of many of us here. What's long been a resident-only amenity would be transformed into a publicly accessible facility, added to county or maybe statewide, I don't know, maps of trail use, which is tantamount to an invitation to the entire space, much beyond Blockhouse Creek, to come on into our community, into a space that's, in some cases, according to this plan, within 3 feet of backyard fences. This plan to open up our private community and spaces that are cherished as part of our community to the public would really destroy one of the defining features of living in Blockhouse Creek, which has been a large reason for many of us to come buy homes here in this community. So, just expressing again, we're very strongly opposed to this. Hope that you all represent us, residents, and our wishes in this. And thank you very much for your time and attention today.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, Cecilia and Steve Bennett's on deck.
Cecilia Roberts?
Yes.
Sound she has earlier. It's the first time I've Cecilia. Good evening, Board of Directors. As a lifelong resident of Blockhouse Creek for 42 years, I respectfully urge the board to reconsider the proposal to apply for TxDOT Park grant for trail development along Blockhouse Creek. When my family moved here, we did so with the understanding that our parks and green belts were privately maintained and funded exclusively by MUD property taxes paid by residents. These taxes cover not only maintenance, but also improvements, security and liability, insurance, benefits supported solely by us, the taxpayers. It is also important to acknowledge that the original park plan did not include trails funded through a TxDOT grant. This was never the board's original intent, and pursuing it now represents a significant shift from what was communicated to the community. While enhanced trails may seem like a recreational benefit, these proposals raise serious concerns.
environmental and historical impact. Blockhouse Creek is home to a sensitive ecological and historical features, including Indian middens and other early settlement sites. Construction through this area could cause irreversible damage through erosion, disruption of archaeological sites, and loss of natural vegetation. Impact on wildlife and habitat. The creek and greenbelt serve as a vital sanctuary for local wildlife. Blue herons, turtles, deer, ducks, and countless other species rely on the corridor for habitat, nesting, and water access. Increased foot traffic, noise, and human intrusion will displace these animals, disrupt their natural behaviors, and disregard or degrade one of the last remaining pockets of native habitat in our suburban area. Loss of privacy and public access. Accepting the TxDOT grant means opening our private parks and trails to the public. This exposes our community to increased traffic, parking issues, safety concerns, and a loss of privacy that current residents, especially those backing up to the greenbelt, expect and deserve.
Okay, thank you, Cecilia.
Deferred, okay.
Steve.
I'm gonna hand some things to y'all as well.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And then Janara.
Here's a
hold on just a
petition,
second.
and these are things I'd like to put with the record, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
Steve Bennett, been a resident over 38 years, my wife and I have raised a family here. Enjoyed most of the trails we have many times, in fact, probably built it. I'm opposed to receiving any grant funds, whether it's TxDOT or any other, for any upgrades to projects in our parks for the following reasons. I do agree with nearly every comment. The regulations, as discussed last week, require the trails in the district to be accessible to anyone, resident or not. That alone concerned me deeply that the board was okay with that. That's very concerning. The additional foot traffic that would occur will change the district, and there's no question about it. The disturbance to the natural beauty of the area, concrete in the wilderness is just as pretty to me. I've never seen anything beautiful like that. The animals that will be displaced due to the construction and more foot traffic, potential people trash, and then of course the animals pick up the trash and now we're dependent on taking care of food by getting it from our trash. So that's a big concern to me. The residents nearby the affected areas losing their serenity and safety they've had for many years, that's terrifying to me for those folks and many others around them. The inability to keep out-of-district persons off the trails or parkland, how would you do that? That seems very improbable that would work out, if you have any way to control that. And then of course, the cost, adding more debt or something the residents they don't want. There are better and more efficient, less expensive methods to make trails than this. They've been used before in the district, and if you want to know how to do it, just give me a call, I'll show you. I have one other item I want to pass around to the board. You guys can look at this. This is in one of your parks and you need to find it.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Janara, you're up, and then Matt.
Hi, I didn't intend to speak, however, I feel compelled. I echo everything that everyone else has said. I am extremely opposed to this. I think it is very concerning that the board might put our children, the elderly, the adults that live here in danger by inviting anybody. It doesn't have to be someone that is, a criminal. Anybody could cause harm, anyone. And the more people that we invite into our neighborhood, the less we have control. And we've already had, as a teacher, there have already been people back up to the fence at Blockhouse Creek and try to entice young girls. That said, anyone can do that if they are invited into our neighborhood. And I don't believe, I don't have anything to back it up, but I don't think TxDOT's gonna come after our land anytime soon to make these trails if they're not invited first. There's no reason for them to, as the woman had mentioned, that there are multiple areas that you can go walk on concrete. We have trails that are very beautiful. They should be maintained. Could we use that money to maintain them? There's all of the trails that you see here have been built for probably less than $60,000 or $70,000 by use of community groups. And that can be done again. They can do maintenance as well. And you don't have to be in debt $600,000. And you won't have to maintain it because you don't have the money to maintain what amenities we have currently.
Thank you. Matt and then Ryan Sanford.
Hi all, I'm Matt, and to give you a little background, I'm a professional civil engineer for the city of Austin. Neither for nor against the trails, but I did want to provide some context and correct a little bit of misinformation and fear-mongering. I think y'all should apply for the grant and then do a broader survey of the community, so to see what everybody thinks rather than a few people in this room. I think our parks should be for all people, regardless of their wealth, their status, their ability, or their know-how about how to access them. Opening trails to the public would allow for greater visibility, like my UT Law friends said here. And we've seen hundreds of examples nationwide where trail systems increase visibility, they increase safety in neighborhoods. They also increase property values. I want to clear that up for anybody who might have said anything like that. They make places more desirable, and people are coming anyway. People who aren't residents are coming here anyway, and there's no way to enforce that unless we have people approach, or cops approach people in the parks, and I think that's gross. Leander and Cedar Park, they all have amenities that I use with my children. Those people pay taxes for those amenities. I use them. I think they should be able to use our stuff that we pay taxes for. It doesn't really make sense to me that we would be exclusive like that. I've heard a lot of talk of our land and our parks, and I think the original peoples who lived here, who these parks were named after, would definitely have something to say about that. So I want to encourage you to apply for the grant, be very careful with tech stop, use a lot of caution, and maintain control, but explore it more, and I think trails could be good. And I want to encourage everybody to delete your Facebook account, because it's poisoning. Everybody
Thank you.
wants. Please stop.
Okay, thank you. I said,
It was, I'm not sure, blank, it was the next.
oh yeah, I just put these on top of it, sorry about that. Ryan?
So I, like other people here, I'm not too much of a public speaker. First meeting I've been to, I know, shame on me, been here since 2014. I'm opposed to public access trails. I don't want to repeat what a lot of other people have said, but some concerns that I have are monetarily. I mean, I know we're a small mud, right? And it seems, maybe it's just because bureaucracy is a little slow, but it seems like we have difficulty maintaining our playscape that's not there. We have difficulty maintaining the disc golf, which is no longer available. I'm not a disc golfer, but you know, it was there, and one of the issues is not there, so I heard, was because of maintenance. So if we're taking on maintaining some of these trails, how are we gonna do that? Are we gonna go into debt? As far as the safety aspect of it goes, besides inviting in the public, there's also what kind of safety aspects are we gonna take to ensure, you know, all walkers, are we gonna put lights up? I don't want lights in my backyard. Are we gonna have, you know, some sort of like emergency phones or anything like that? Like, that's more infrastructure, more cost. I personally would just, I love the trails that we have. I love walking around here. Obviously, I can use a little bit more walking, but I just don't think inviting the public in, not because I have anything against the public, but just, you know, to keep our little oasis an oasis, to keep these guys here from
having to respond to calls all the time. And also just budget, like, do we know the extra costs that we're incurring besides just the building and the trails? So, anyways, I know my time's almost up, so
Thank you.
I'll be quiet.
Harold Maxwell, and then Lori Miller.
Harold Maxwell?
On his way.
Okay, thank you. Right behind the podium, sir, thank you.
So, I'm a resident on the Greenville, and I echo the concerns that everybody else has about the privacy, security, everything like that. I also think that considering the opposition here, I think the board would do well to consider alternatives, just like I heard earlier in the meeting, they have alternatives for mosquitoes, things like that. One of the alternatives I heard here today was to use funds for existing trails. I can understand why somebody would want to turn the greenbelt into a trail, it's more scenic. But you could do the same sort of thing by planting trees along the existing trails. I don't think you should disturb the greenbelt at all.
Thank you. Lori Miller. And then next up is Christopher Culpepper.
Hi there, thanks for letting me speak. I'm opposed to the, applying for the grants for a couple of reasons, well, many reasons. But probably the most is the ecosystem of the creek. It's extremely special. We are so lucky. I mean, you look around, everywhere we go, I mean, I've lived here for 27 years. I love liquor. I moved from Oak Hill to Blockhouse because I would see those ads in the paper in 1997 on these houses. And then I came and I fell in love and I saw that school with those beautiful trees and it's like, fell in love with it. It is special and it's really fragile. I've been reading a little bit about this since it's come up and I know a lot of cities are actually trying to restore their creeks because they've done, aggressive things. Like to me, it's aggressive, it's cement. So that's the main thing. It's beautiful. We have the park up here 6 minutes away that's got the trails. We've got Twin Lakes, Russian Creek, we got that. This is amazing. So that's the thing. I'm also worried about giving control over to another entity because, I live on the creek, but everybody pretty much that moved in, saw that sign. It's like private parks and recreation areas, and I'm not a snob, I love people, but they say we spend probably double the taxes that Cedar Park people do, but we get this. So to give that away and still pay more, I just don't understand, the rationale. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Thank you.
Sure.
Christopher and then Terry Hutton. Christopher Culpepper.
Christopher Culpepper.
Ready?
From the podium, sir.
Good evening. My comments are going to be in a bit of a different direction, as I believe most of the problems with the proposal itself have already been expounded upon. I personally would just like to express my disappointment in the manner in which this proposal has been handled by the board. There was not even so much as a public notice put up in the parks, nor was any mail sent to any of us, including those who would be directly affected by the grant approval. The first notice most of us had of this was from our neighbors through various channels. That this occurred is hardly a mark of good government, much less an indicator of meaningful respect for its constituents. We are governed by and for the people, as enshrined in the state and federal constitutions. I kindly ask the board to remember that in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Terry Hutton.
Can I allow someone to go in front when my computer comes back on?
Yeah, we won't start until you start talking. She's it.
Oh, she's last here. While we're waiting for her, is there anybody else who would like to speak? And if y'all tell me, guys, is there anybody else who'd like to speak, please register now.
I'm gonna go ask.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alright, first, attempts by Director Logan and other board members and residents to tell police people is disrespectful. People are entitled to speak with passion and emotion. This occurs most commonly when people feel unseen and disregarded. Filling out the paperwork and then having, oh, by the way, meeting to inform the community screams asking for forgiveness rather than permission. This is an excellent way to leave people feeling unseen and angry. Handling this way you have is sneaky, duplicitous, and underhanded. Moving on to the Dot Park plan itself, it is a disastrous idea and the solution is search for problem. You're going to cost us money we do not have, because you set a parity tax rate disallowing increase in taxes and to spend all our surplus. That's another problem for another day. We do not have the infrastructure to support this pathway. We do not have security to patrol and ensure everyone's safety. We do not have public Wi-Fi for trail users in the event of emergency. We do not have parking to accommodate the massive number of people who would ultimately access the path. It's amazing to me that people spent time promoting the increase in traffic in the neighborhood due to Nebraska Furniture Mart, yet now take up the mantle of not just a generalized instruction, but inviting strangers essentially into residents' backyards. While we have no means to regulate who enters our facilities by our use of our facilities by non-residents is nominal and has not shown itself to be problematic. That will surely change with large numbers of people arrive. We also do not want people to live in a police-style environment where everyone is questioned and ID checked as they go about their daily activities. Regarding eminent domain, tax law has no reason to declare that, and is not nominal portion of land is of no interest to the state. The handling of this suggests secret and underhanded behavior. It is curious many of you ran on full transparency, yet when you engage in selfish, duplicitous behavior. If members of the board are in need of something to do, are simply dying to do something people want, I recommend a dog park. There's space near the baseball field and immediately east of the PEC substation. If board members enjoy serving on the board, they should vote no on this project. There are means for the public to cost the mud significant money and disrupt the board as a whole if this goes forward as the community wishes. We as a community do not have to sit idly by if our elected officials behave in a manner that does not represent us. In conclusion, do not move forward with this vacating these trails, put a dog park instead, and stop trying to police how other people speak.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is there someone filling that? I see
Okay,
someone.
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Name on the form, please. Thank you, sir.
I'm Stephen Cassey, I've been here 32 years, I live on the creek. I'm also a retired scoutmaster, and I want to mention that 3 of my Eagle Scouts have developed projects on this property for no cost to your division here. They are long lasting, and they're built that way by the way we set up this the Eagle Scout requirements, that they are self-sufficient. So we had the bike was the very first project, and then over here where the snake pit is, we had trails that were built in there, no cost. But now we're looking at $500,000 worth of expenses. It's a boondoggle. It's going to increase our property taxes, and it's going to reduce our property values, which is your responsibility to keep our property values up. So it's totally against what your whole pledge is. I have talked to many people about this project, and I don't see anyone that was in favor of it. Because those people that live along the creek, they know what destruction is going to happen. And I have personally witnessed it from the boards in the past, coming down and stripping the land and causing a massive amount of erosion to the creek. The creek is a vital access, vital part of our community. And because of the spring-fed nature of it, it's a very important park. It has a very high degree of habitat for many different kinds of wildlife. And if you start to put new people in here, it's going to change it again, just like it did when they came in and they stripped the land and it made erosion go down into the creek and make it just dirty. I watched it for 15 years.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so, wait just 1 second. And what we're gonna do is, directors, do you wanna go around the table, or do you just wanna go ahead and do the motion? How would
Or you want Director Johnson and Director Stanfield
Yes.
to speak and then go around? I'd like to go last one and go around, if that's all.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want me to make a motion first?
No.
Okay. Alright, Alright, so, I guess my remarks would be, given the almost complete lack of public support expressed at, well, sorry, let me start that over. Given the complete lack of public support expressed at the open house, though some has come in since, I'm going to be voting against the resolution at this time. The open house was an important milestone for resident feedback, and everything expressed at that session, apologies, was against the project. Without the resolution from the board supporting the project, the grant would not be successful. Without the grant, the project cannot be funded. To simplify, the resolution not passing will mean the project is a no-go. One thing I would like to do in the future is have a review of the Parks Master Plan. As a number of people mentioned, it's not required to implement it, and certainly acknowledge that, how the plan was funded was not articulated in the master plan. However, the purpose of the master plan is to guide the board now and in the future on what the community, us and everybody, what our vision is for what the neighborhood should look like in terms of parks amenities. If there are elements in there that are undesirable, as many of these seem to be, I think that we should update it so that we can use it as a reliable instrument on how to go forward. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, Director Stanfield.
I will echo a lot of what Director Johnson said. Based on the lack of community feedback, I do not recommend going forward with the resolution. I do recommend that we as a board pause and review the current park plan that was left to us by the previous board. Clearly, that is not the expectation of the residents any longer. And so I think we need to either poll residents through a survey or some other form of communication to find out what the residents are actually interested in. I recognize there has been a lot of emotion around this. None of this was a malicious decision. We as directors were carrying out what was left in the parks plan for us and doing our best to honor what was given to us from a previous board. And so I, again, echo, we need to pause and we need to reestablish what the district wants.
Okay, Director Young.
I think the genesis of us looking to do a project, any project for the parks, started in 2020 when there was a bond put on the vote for the parks. It was for $3.1 million, and it was not exercised under, shortly after it had been approved by the voters, but voters did approve $3.1 million in bond. The playscape was in terrible condition. Over a year ago, it had been condemned, not by us. I know we put a lot of effort into keeping it alive as long as we could, but at the time that it got condemned, we decided the best way to replace that, because we didn't have the budget for it, is to use the money from the bond, the $3.1 million, which is now gonna cost a full $3.1 million. The next step is we decided as a board, we are going to exercise the full amount, and we are going to do improvements on the parks. One of the first items that came up was the trails. We do have trails all over here. Some of them are official, some of them are just from when the kids are coming and going from where they go. There was an intention to make maybe those a little bit safer. Not all of us have the rubber bones of the teenagers running back there, the kids going back there. If we flattened it out and made it a little nicer, it could have been great. I've listened very carefully to all the comments that have been made, both tonight and on Thursday. It seems to me that the biggest problem is that TxDOT would be involved, and then they would have, the opening to the residents. I've also heard that there are some people that are interested in having a good trail system, and maybe they would be interested in chipping in, helping out, or even, having some funds go to the trails, the existing trails that have just been stomped out. I know we've got a resident that's offered to come out with chainsaws to fix up the current ones, but I would like residents to give us their input in a more formal manner. The petition is good, but it's easy to forge names, it's difficult. We recently had very good success with a survey about a year ago today, asking residents the direction on park hours, different things. I think that went really well. We don't think there was any, extra, anybody doing it, from outside of the district, anything like that. It looked like and everybody put their address there. So what I would like to propose is that we start looking into doing a survey on the direction of the mud for parks. Keep it limited to that focus. Would you be interested in taking the trails that we existingly have? They're at a 30-degree angle and they're muddy, and maybe just level them out, throw on some mulch? Is that something that you'd want, or is that something that you don't want? And then, once we get that information, then the board can push in that direction. I don't think anybody on this board wants to go in any direction contrary to the public opinion. And if we got a proper survey, we got proper results, and we did it democratically, like we did before, that would give us direction on where to move the district forward. Maybe we put more money into the bike park, maybe we do a dog park, maybe there's a lot of options. That will be allowed to be added to the survey, different projects that you wanna do. Once we get that information, then we can debate, concrete or mulch or whatever direction we wanna go. If we wanna have 10-foot ramps in the bike park or whatever, but we'll get into the details after that. But let's focus on getting direction from the residents to the boards, and we'll have that information published for everybody. That's what I would like to do, is focus on a survey quickly and give us some direction so we can go that direction.
Can we know if renters fill out surveys or?
Can I finish? Because I think someone say might address that.
What, you're gonna say, address that?
Address that.
Okay, yeah, if you don't mind. Okay, thank you, Director Young and Stanfield and Johnson for your input. You wanted to speak last?
Yes, thank you. So
Yeah,
I think.
go,
Well, I'm sorry, I was gonna speak before you, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, then go ahead.
If that's all right.
Yeah,
Sorry, you go around, you finish last, so,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's
I shouldn't have. So I think there's been a lot of good discussion tonight. I think there was a lot of discussion at the meeting last week. I think that one of the reasons why this text dot process required the open house and the public support was to have input like this, right? Text dot does not want to be granting grants for the communities opposed. I think that there's a lot of good discussion here about if there were trails, what their route would be, what style they are, the function, the environment, concerns about trash, concerns about the native environment, animals. And so I think that it's good everyone is here to talk about this. I think these are all valid things to discuss. These are things that were in the park master plan. There was a gentleman earlier who spoke about the bond committee. One of the aspects of the bond committee was talking about amenities to spend that bond on, right? We're spending a lot of that on replacing the playscape. That is not the only thing we'll have funds available for. And so I think that is all good and great here that we're talking about this. And I'm glad y'all came out. I think that, going forward, these are all points of discussion. And I think some of you mentioned, gentleman with the pink shirt, about watching the prior meeting. I think y'all might have heard me say concern when we're up for this, that, I have concerns about the raw, there's an architectural word for it, imposition of what text dot was likely to require us to do, right? But I wanted to move forward at the time to have this discussion, because I knew that with these processes, this is kind of how this goes, right? So that is not a problem there. But I wanna make some comments in response to a couple things, and y'all maybe not wanna hear it, but I'm just gonna say it real quick. I'm gonna start with something from the state constitution. Article 16, which is general provisions, section 6. No appropriation for private or individual purposes shall be made. And so this is a point I wanna make, because I think one thing about our creek is we have a lot of property in it. Some of it's private. My understanding is some of the property owners here tonight, y'all's property plat goes back to the middle of that creek. It is private property. And I understand absolutely the concerns with anybody who is not the owner of that property being on that property. We respect private property rights in this neighborhood, regardless of where it is. However, for the folks who do not own the creek, I'm not saying we just need to ignore your opinions, but however, There are 2,700 residents in this neighborhood. They are all required to pay taxes. None of our property taxes are optional. And I think it is important for them to have some level of input in how we use our public spaces. I think it is a bit of a concern to have publicly owned spaces that as a board, we explicitly make a decision to basically like, there's no way they can be accessed. That may be a discussion of how and why. I understand people having property access from multiple sides or all of it, but I think it is a concern because the other residents pay for that. When we do maintenance on that, we send the police back there. So I don't have an answer for that tonight, but that is the thing I wanted to raise. I will admit, when I ran for this board, I walked and blocked, I did a lot of door knocking, right? I didn't spend a lot of money on stuff. I do a lot of door knocking. It's a shoe leather way to run a race. And a lot of the folks I talked to in other parts of the neighborhood, one of their concerns was there were not many trails near them. And so I'm not saying this is the way to solve it tonight, and I understand y'all don't want to solve it tonight like this, and that's fine. But I also don't think their concerns should be unheard either. Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I agree with everything that all the other directors said, and I really appreciated listening to y'all tonight. I could hear you tonight. I could not hear everyone last Thursday, and that was really disappointing. And there was a lot of passion in there, but that was really inappropriate. But tonight, thank you every single one of you for how you approached it. And actually, one of the things that I heard was what Cecilia Roberts said about the arrowheads and the historic items. You know, that was something I hadn't even thought of, and that was a great point, and I actually could hear you, so thank you. I also want to bring up just a couple of points here. We did post it appropriately. Yes, the time was messed up, and it was corrected within 12 minutes, and things happen. And so if you want to know who did that, it was our IT person. It's a consultant. He was driving. He wanted to get it up on the web immediately. As soon as we found out, because most of our meetings are at 6:30, he pulled over and he fixed it. There was nothing malicious about it. We post our meetings out here on the kiosk, it's on the website, it's all over the place. We cannot force feed this information to you. You have a responsibility as a resident to do your own homework and find this stuff. We are trying to be as transparent as possible. We've put the OWL system in place. We have our meetings live. We've had them for almost over 2 years now. They're recorded, you can go back and look at them anytime. And our meetings are open to everyone. So we are being as transparent as we possibly can be. So it was not malicious. One other thing I want to address, and I don't know if it's just the passion, the heat, but it was really disrespectful when you all alluded to that we had some self-serving purpose and that some of our residents that work for the state were maybe getting a kickback. That's ludicrous and it's rude. And I really hope you think about, I mean, it's just insane that TxDOT would pay a kickback to someone to give away their money. And this is people's livelihood. If they're a state employee and you're saying something like that, I mean, think about it. But I'm gonna end it on a positive note. I really appreciate every single one of you coming out. It's hard, I know you got families, you got dinner, you got things going on. I walk those trails almost every single day. And I'll tell you personally, and I think it was pretty funny, all this stuff on Facebook, how you all thought I was gonna vote. You didn't have a clue. And I told some people in emails, I was not for concrete. I don't want concrete at all. And somebody mentioned Thursday night, some of the issues with that. I'd love to see them natural in the way they are. What I wanted was just some transition, connecting some of these trails, not recreating trails, but connecting the existing trails so everyone can use them. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and finish. Go ahead.
Motion when we're ready.
Okay, do you have a motion?
I do have a motion. So I motion to reject the resolution, which then necessarily means we would not be successful at applying for the grant, and thus we would not apply for the grant, at which point the project would not move forward to improve the trails in this manner.
Okay, go ahead. Second. Okay, any more discussion from the board? Director Young?
Where could we put the survey into, directive or something like that?
We'll put that on the next agenda to discuss.
I think you put on their agenda items.
Yeah, and the communications subcommittee.
Director Stansfield mentioned the park master plan, I think that'd be a good way to talk about that.
Agreed.
We'll put it on the agenda. Okay, Director Johnson, do you have any more
No, I have
discussion?
no further comments.
Director Stanfield?
No further comment.
Director Shoemaker?
No further comments.
Okay, I don't have any further comments. All in favor of basically rejecting the proposal? So there's no confusion. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed, any abstain? Okay, so that's 5-0. Thank you again. We will take a 5-minute pause.
I've got to take a phone, Sean, so.
majority of the agenda. We need to go ahead and address the consent items. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from April 9th and April 23rd?
Motion, sorry.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's a 4-0 in favor of approving the minutes. Black House Owners Association, Sandy, do you have anything to report?
The event coming up is July 4th. I'm concerned about the timeline, just because y'all's next meeting is not until June 25th, and July 4th is a few days later.
You mean vis-a-vis the mosquitoes?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I understood you. Yes, gotcha.
Okay. And then I guess we do need to discuss the lining of the loop, the flags.
I contacted David Wood, and I'm supposed to get with him this week.
Okay.
Because, and here, after all of the comments and everything, they're talking about setting up some water stations and handing out bug spray.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I told him I would get with him this week and confirm that, and I don't know if he wants us to pay for the bug spray, or if that's something the scouts would do, but
Okay.
I have been in contact with him.
Okay.
And then lining the loop will be my other conversation.
Okay,
with
yeah,
him.
let me know if you guys are gonna put communications out, and then I always like to kind of share that and get it going, and I'll be here, so.
Okay, and I'll get it done this week, so.
Okay, awesome. Number five, is that bug, no bug, okay. And then let's go to 6.
Item number 6, Mark with Premier Recreation, his report is in the packet. If you all have any questions, I'm happy to pass those along to him. He was on the line. He did need splash plastic taken care of, and so that has been done, and if you have any other questions, I can help.
Okay, great. Is Ben still here?
No, Ben is already up.
Okay, alright, that's right, we don't really have an update on AT&T anyways. 12, we don't have Chris Thornaby from Great Engineering. We do have, did you get the pictures from Nebraska Furniture Mart? Chris, you may not.
I did.
You did?
Yes.
Can we show them real quick to people in here? So, our consultant, or I guess liaison with Nebraska Furniture Mart, he sent us some pictures today, the area between the building and between Blockhouse. There's, how wide is it? 40 feet?
The big stone, the big yellow
The-
and orange wall.
Yeah. Roughly 40 feet. Anyways, they purchased the landscaping for it. And actually, some of the stuff is pretty mature. I was pretty impressed with it. So we just wanted to kind of share. So this is all new stuff that they've installed.
So our side or their side?
Our side. Our side. And this is all stuff they purchased to put in there. And then there should be one more picture that's, oh, you can't really see anything there. Anyways, that's looking good as far as what they're doing there. Okay, so I don't think we have anything else on that. What else do we have? Chicken coop, 17, let's go ahead and, you can keep it quick, right?
I can.
So this is Sedge, actually did a great job speaking earlier, thank you. He's part of what we kind of call them the chicken tenders. There's a group at the community garden that were interested in bringing chickens. And so if you hear us refer to the chicken tenders, it's this group. Okay.
Absolutely. So basically there are a number of families in the neighborhood who are interested in the idea of raising chickens, especially for eggs. So these would be hens, not roosters. We would be housing them in a chicken coop at Germano Park, very close to the community gardens. It's our understanding that, loosely speaking, that the restrictive covenants that prevent chickens from being on private lots do not necessarily apply to mud land. And so this creates the possibility of a group of neighbors basically coming together, having a community shared agriculture group, and establishing a strong chicken coop, a chicken run, using that their droppings as compost for the community garden, and then basically through a community shared agriculture plan, sharing the eggs, the labor, and the costs associated with caring for those chickens. So this would be a group of probably 10 to 20 families. It would be, we'd be looking at the numbers of chickens more closely, but probably 24 kind of around that number. And so what we're asking for at this point is basically just a gauge of whether this aligns with the goals of our community, kind of the goals of the Jumano Park space there where we have the garden lots. Because taking next steps on this path of getting the chickens into this space would require a lot of outreach to TCEQ to make sure that we're preventing runoff in a proper way. We definitely want to make sure that their droppings aren't polluting the Blockhouse Creek that runs quite close to that. We also want to make sure that we're abiding by all of the regulations related to caring for chickens in this area. So we would be reaching out to our agriculture outreach at Williamson County. And so there will be a lot of steps and a lot of time involved in kind of even coming up with the plan before we buy chickens. The time to buy chickens is February, so we've got some time before we need to consider that. But what I'm hoping for today is a non-committal blessing of continuing the investigation of this idea, because it will take many hours, and if it's not a good idea at this stage, then it definitely won't be a good idea down the road when we do have more concrete plans.
Okay, so is, Amanda, you're on the subcommittee, do you have anything to add?
I think the one thing that I want to make sure everybody's aware of, I know when we talked about it, the only way I think that I'm in support is if it's a different entity. I'm not comfortable with families just participating and putting, because it becomes the MUD's challenge at that point. But if you were an entity that was borrowing the land or renting the land, that would be a different situation for me.
Absolutely. So as part of this, we would establish a community shared agriculture group. It would be a lot like a co-op. So people would basically purchase shares, which would represent like an initial investment, and that would be used towards purchasing the materials for the coop, or constructing that, purchasing the chicks, etc. And then once you've bought in, you're able to participate through the labor and collecting the eggs. And then, we're not sure quite the level of interest. We know there are at least 10 families in the neighborhood that are very interested in participating in this, but it will be a heavy lift in terms of continuing down the road. Somebody needs to take care of the chickens every single morning. And so spreading that out makes it a lot more practical. And absolutely, to your question, it would be like a formal organization that is not the MUD. And basically, I think we would become the licensee of this space at the park to have the coop, to have the chickens. And we would bear the responsibility for those chickens.
Okay, Sean, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so board members, I circulated some information that I had received from Captain Mitchell at City Engineering. She puts together your MS4 plan each year, so just to refresh everyone's memory, Captain's perspective, it would absolutely be important to plan around this and to make sure that various things are covered, have a plan, stick to it, best practices relating to coop cleaning frequency, waste disposal, food storage, disposal of dead animals, etc. So I think we really have to have that in place at the district level prior to getting too far off the ground.
Okay, so next steps as far as, I'll just work this group to get to the next step. Next steps. Any ideas?
How to go forward?
Yeah.
Well, board members, you saw what the plans look like. I would be interested to hear y'all's thoughts on what would, putting that plan together, and, we would have to account for it in our MS4 plan with Iowa TCQ on an annual basis going forward.
Okay, how about this? And Shoemaker's not in here, and I really do want all directors to hear this. Why don't you guys review what, why don't you guys review what Sean sent out, and then take in what Seth shared, and then forward any questions to the GM, and then she can work with the subcommittee, and then we can come back and we'll have it on the next agenda, okay?
Great.
Alright,
Can I make some comments?
Yeah, absolutely, wait, just said.
More questions? I think what we need to do is basically give them the blessing or not at the next meeting. And the blessing can be, as long as they meet all regulations that come up, then they can continue with it. Basically, you know, like make their own entity, like give them a list of what to do, and everything else that may come up, you know, it's gonna be reasonable. We're gonna need some,
Hey guys, if you wanna talk, do you mind just stepping outside? Thanks.
we're gonna need some discussion, but basically I would like to be able to green light it for them. So instead of just having it be an idea, that it's time to start taking action and really, you know, fulfilling all of the upcoming requisites that we give to them. The next thing I'd like to do is, we know in Blockhouse there are already hens in the neighborhood. What I would like to do is to have a adoption process offered to residents that have these, they're ready, offer them to be a part of it. Everybody's probably given some extra eggs from time to time. That's why this community would be better, because not everybody that has the hens is able to eat all those eggs, but maybe we can, instead of buying chicks, have them adopt the chicks, have them be a part of it, and then after that, when we talk to our restrictive covenants people, we could ask them, hey, we're gonna start keeping an extra eye out for hens in backyards, and we're gonna be enforcing this. Everybody's had a chance to donate their hens to the community and continue to participate.
I can certainly appreciate that, and I think we would appreciate having donate hens as well. I know that it's easy for hens to become a burden for single families too, like it's a lot to take care of every single day, and people underestimate that a lot of times. So we can certainly make that part of our plan.
Okay, alright, so we'll bring it back to the agenda, in June, gosh, I lose that fast. Thank you, Seth, thanks for all your hard work on everything. Okay. What do we have next?
I only count 29 left. Is there something else? 29.
We don't have nothing on 19. We don't really have anything on 20.
Alright, 29. That's right, we should have done that first. Okay, do I have a, motion for 29? The IT services agreement, terminate the IT services agreement.
I motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, before you vote, I'm just gonna say that, so we had a gentleman that was working on running our OWL system. And so we're gonna terminate the contract with him. Director Johnson and I have been working with ACC, and we actually got some great news today. Did you see that email?
No. I
Yeah.
didn't get one.
So we reached out to them, we're looking at maybe having an intern come in, for a semester, and it'd be every semester, have an intern come in and run our OWL system. Be a great opportunity for a student at ACC, they'll get class credit for it. I don't know if you ever did internships at the university, I did multiple, and you'll definitely show up, you know, cause their grade is based on it. And I think it's just a really good relationship for us to have with ACC, so, David reached out to them, I believe they said that they have us on the schedule for the fall. So we just need to, do something in the interim, which I think Director Johnson is gonna try to help us out for a couple of months. We don't wanna go backwards, it was been great to add the OWL system and to have our meetings live, and then to have them recorded. I don't think, we said worst case scenario, we could just record them and then have them out there, but I really don't want us to go backwards because of the transparency. So, when we have more information from ACC, let's have this on the agenda in June, but I think this is really gonna be a great opportunity to bring an intern in to help us. Okay?
So you would.
Oh, I'm sorry, so, to terminate the contract, there was a motion and there was a second. So, I'm sorry, I can't hear. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that's 5-0. Okay, you guys double check me, make sure, is there anything else? We are moving into June, so we are gonna start looking at budget, meetings, so there will be a couple of extra meetings coming up, so please look at your schedules and be prepared. Are we gonna have one before our regular meeting in June? Probably
I
not.
don't think so.
Okay, all right, I can't, my daughter's getting married in a couple weeks, so June's gonna be pretty,
Congratulations.
thank you, we're really
Sean,
excited.
you bet to make comment about this.
Well, I think we tabled the covenant pay agreement.
Yes,
Yeah, so if y'all wanna go back and do that, just to
Okay.
refresh everyone's memory, Tyler's not here, but this is
Yeah.
basically, each time you approve a check, Tyler will essentially provide backup on the check before it's cashed.
Yeah.
That way when the bank gets it, he will look at the payee, as well as the amount to confirm that it's correct, it's just an additional layer of security.
okay, so I've got a motion to approve,
I'll motion to approve it to discuss.
and a second. Okay, a discussion, Director Johnson?
So just to fill everything in, like Sean said, it's a cost of, we asked Tyler, we talked to him about it. It's a cost of $55 a month plus 6 cents per transaction. With the number of transactions we have, it comes out to about $60 a month. As, like Sean said, also an extra layer of fraud protection.
Yeah, my company uses it, and I think probably most companies do, so, any more discussion?
Actually, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We've had only one, attempt at fraud, so, just for context, but if we were to have a second, we would need to do this. Currently, it's optional in that sense.
Well, I think we should be proactive, if you all
Oh, yeah,
agree.
I'm not suggesting otherwise.
Yeah.
I'd rather not experience fraud.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be
Okay,
listening.
any more discussion on this item? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed, any abstain? Okay, it's a 5-0 vote. All right, then I think we have covered everything, but somebody,
Move to.
I don't think we need to put that in front of the board, do
We
we?
didn't have that in front of the board, that's actually something that I approved for.
Yeah, so it doesn't need a board approval.
Do number 5, Wilco Sheriff's Office?
They're not here.
They're not here.
Jeff Lovato is not here, I mean, the report's in the book about it, they
Yeah.
can,
Okay, can we still discuss it?
yeah, it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
Is
Yep,
there a
right.
particular point you wanna discuss on it?
Yes.
Okay,
What
aspect?
Sorry?
What aspect? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the.
It's the reports.
Okay.
Yeah, as they come in. We got a lot of different formats, some are like full highlights or whatever, but I've noticed that I've got a report, like, some will say we did this loop and that loop and going around. I've got a 6-hour report where it's just 3 items of conducted neighborhood check. I would like to, like, maybe give directive to Deputy Lovato so that the team can, like, get a little bit more verbose on what exactly they did. I'm not a big fan of huge reports, but I'm also not a fan of 6 hours of just neighborhood check. We don't really know anything that went on there.
Does he have his mileage on there? They all should have their check-in, check-out, and mileage.
Shows 23 miles times 6 hours,
So I got, it's at page 55 on the updated one, it's,
this one, for reference,
well, we got a new one today, and I'm working with that one, I believe.
Okay.
It's page 55, if not,
Oh, so you're not looking at one in the packet?
I'm looking at the one in what I believe is the recent packet sent by Nancy last minute today, updated. Digitally.
Okay.
I will say that I do looking at the existing packet, right? I found 3, there's about 3 or 4 where the details are pretty much, began tour of duty, and it mentions they conducted several neighborhood checks, given the times. It looks like about 45 minutes between conducting check, but I get what
It's
Director
6
Young said.
hours.
Well, the other ones though definitely have more information about where they checked on the check, so.
6 hours is interesting, Director Young, because they only work 4-hour shifts, so that
Well,
might
this
make.
one's got 4 too, he's got, this,
Yeah.
there's a couple different, I mean, I'm not trying to single anybody out, because I know we've got some new ones, but.
And that might be the case that, because we do have some new deputies that, so we can, let's let the security subcommittee talk to Lovato, and I agree with you, I don't want like detail after detail, but it wouldn't hurt to say, check the parks, check this area, check that area.
Check the Walker House, check the.
Yeah.
I think Deputy Lovato is an example, that does a good job of
Yeah.
concise but detailed.
Yeah, but I don't wanna see tons of detail in there, I mean, what I really do look at is check in, check out time, and the miles driven, cause that's your first indication if, you know.
Correct.
And if somebody gets a cocaine violation or whatever, like, that's important to.
Oh, yeah, they, I think will always cite if they pull someone over, or if they've given a citation.
Yeah, I've noticed
Yeah.
that, but I've never seen one that if they do it, doesn't cite it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, good deal. Then anything else?
Thank you for bringing that up.
Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All right, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.